I love a good hot hatch, I really, really do. So maybe I'm old-fashioned these days. Maybe I should get off on a front-wheel drive SUV, but sadly I don't. And thankfully, there are some pretty cool small EVs, which is more my cup of tea, coming to market now. So for example, the Cupra Born, the Renault 5 EV. Yes, I said Renault 5 EV. The Mini is even coming with a much more reasonable sized battery. I think it's like 50 or something kilowatt hour. I can't remember now. So before I delve into this stuff, thank you very much to all of you that are watching and subscribing to the channel. It has been getting bigger and bigger literally every week, which is really, really awesome. And I really like that so many people keep commenting on my videos and sort of enjoy it, so that's nice. I know people are keen to stay up to date with the latest news in the EV world. I had a somewhat stressful year this year, and I think that that caused me to get a little bit sick a few weeks ago, like I said, some of you will remember. And it was pretty terrible, and I don't really like the idea of taking a day off from working or making these videos, because I do these pretty much every day. But a couple of times I have, and just because I'm going through, I think, a pretty stressful year, and I thought I'd explain a little bit about why that is, because I don't really talk too much about me or who I am, I suppose. And I moved to Australia a few years ago, and I haven't been back home to Europe, England, Scandinavia in like 3 years at all. And it sounds easy, and moving to Australia, but in reality, it's quite tough, because suddenly you don't know anyone, and the culture is genuinely very, very different here. So I apologise in advance over the coming weeks and months if I don't post for a day or so, just from time to time, because it's important to look after your mental health. I try really hard with that myself, and I think everyone knows that, and it's getting more and more difficult to do for a lot of people. So I just wanted to take a minute and explain why sometimes my uploads are at different times of the day, and from time to time I just miss a day. Especially when I got ill, I think I took 2 weeks and I just disappeared, and I kind of had to. So let's get to the meat of the video. Volkswagen are a brilliant company at making sporty cars, not so much diesels, but sporty cars, and it's like their little signature piece in a way, isn't it? Their little hatchbacks, the GTI, that's kind of what I think they're most known for. So now the trick is going to be, as Matt Watson from CarWire says, how do they make their EVs feel regular or sporty and differentiate them from one another? Because it's quite difficult, because often within with EVs, the main thing that changes the feel of an EV is, or power, I suppose, in regards to the powertrain, is the power to weight ratio, but also the positioning of the motor, I guess, obviously. So I'm talking mainly about powertrain and how that feels, and I know that they will be fine to do this because I've driven sporty EVs, such as the Mini Cooper, for example. It's a fantastic car, and anybody that buys an EV Mini will love it. And I mean, love it. It's brilliant. I know a friend who's got an old Mini, a petrol one, and he's repairing a part of the cooling system on his regular Mini for the third time in a few years, because it's I think the part that keeps breaking is plastic, and it's in a really hot place, so it keeps breaking. I think that's what it is. I haven't really confirmed that with him, but we have had a bit of a chat about it. So I hope that Mini make the electric versions last longer, longer than 10 years, as so many are too expensive to keep fixing and not very old. And if you're in Australia and you keep having to pay $100 per hour for mechanics to repair something, at some point you'll get rid of the car because it'll be too expensive to pay, $1,000 labour to replace a piece of plastic like that. So the ID GTI looks brilliant. We don't know too much about it, but there are some things we do know. So I was pretty keen to make this video so I can talk about it. It's really, really nice. The basic stats that we know: it will be front-mounted motor, most likely 166 kilowatt motor, which is 222 horsepower or so. Its expected price at launch is around 30,000 euros, which is about 55,000 Aussie dollars if you just convert it. Maybe more in Australia because they need to ship it here, and then who knows what competition there will be in Australia for that car. So it might be less, might be more. We don't really know. In the electric era, the GTI badge is going to be applied to front-wheel drive cars, and they are going to continue using the R badge on the faster dual motor versions of their vehicles, which is really cool. Good to know. It's really great because that tells me that they will be making some fast four-wheel drive hatchbacks, which, we think it will have between 57 and 67 kilowatt hour version in the battery size and 77 kilowatt hour version. It's not confirmed, but Volkswagen officials did say, because they have said some stuff, it is twinned with the Cupra Raval, or Raval, I'm going to say. And that's a great looking car. I'll put pictures on the screen now for you. I'm still waiting for the Honda Jazz or Toyota Yaris of the EV world to come out. I don't know what that is. It will happen one day, that there will be a cheap, small, basic EV that will sell in the millions without having spinning screens in the centre or fancy paints or 400 horsepower. For me, that's the most exciting thing in the whole of this EV era, when they actually get cheap, So that's why I keep badgering on about the BYD Seagull. I just love it. It's awesome. If you had the BYD Seagull and you hit a curb, I wouldn't mind, personally, just chucking steel wheels on it. I'm not so fussed. That's just me. But I don't want to have to pay $1,200 for a replacement wheel from BYD and wait 6 months for them to ship it, I want practical. That's really what I get off on. So anyway, we can see they're getting cheaper. EVs definitely getting cheaper. Things are moving exponentially, like exponentially. It's bonkers how quick things are moving. It's quite possible for car companies to make cars like the BYD Seagull, for example. I know I brought it up again, but it's just an awesome car, and it's really, really cheap. And you can get 2 or 3 BYD Seagulls for the same price as a Volkswagen ID GTI. That tells me it's something we should be thinking about, in my opinion. So thank you very much for taking the time to watch today's video, and thanks for support for those of you that send a few dollars on Patreon every month, YouTube memberships, buy me a coffee, and it literally helps me get through the month. So thank you very, very much.